PEBC is such an important organization for this community, and I'm really proud to serve on its board. The board's a unique mix of business leaders, superintendents, and educators who all share a core value that a healthy public education system is critical for Colorado and for our future. Being on this board allows First Bank to gain a deeper understanding of the challenges that educators face today and to share with educators what skills are needed for the workforce of tomorrow. First Bank is proud to have supported the work of PEBC for many years and the impact it is having where it matters most, in our classrooms and for our students.
When this organization started in the early 80s, shortly after a Nation at Risk report was released, we were focused on one primary question: what makes the greatest impact on student learning? What we all know from personal reflections and from the research is that teachers are at the very core of student academic success. So the founding business people and superintendents set out to develop a body of work that brought value to districts in the creation of sound research-based instruction and provided teachers with the coaching and tools essential to meeting the ever-changing needs in education environment. It's 30 years later, and we continue to be focused on teachers and teaching. You will see us coaching teachers in classrooms across grade levels and content areas, to facilitating groups of educators as they explore research, data, and student work, and learn from and with their peers, to supporting principals on growing the capacity of their instructional staff. This is the very context in which PEBC does its work. Based upon what we were learning, PEBC insiders Ellin, Oliver, Keene, and Susan Zimmerman co-authored the groundbreaking book in 1997, Mosaic of Thought. It shared how real teachers in real classrooms applied the comprehension strategies that fostered student learning and understanding. Today, there are over 25 published books written by PEBC staff, past and present, leading us to work in districts nationwide, but with a dedicated focus on Colorado schools. PEBC has always embraced the ideal that collaboration yields the best results. Over the years, we have partnered with institutions to create other nonprofit and public organizations that continue to thrive today. PEBC helped create and start the Rocky Mountain School of Expeditionary Learning, a K-12 school serving nearly 400 students across 5 metro districts. And we incubated the Denver affiliate of Facing History and Ourselves, a highly regarded and effective organization that nurtures democracy through educational programs. And most recently, PEBC launched Education News Colorado, and it has now sent it out on its own to create partnerships with other Education News websites nationwide under the newly formed Education News Network umbrella.
Many of us remember our early lives as readers and writers. We wrote our first words by scribbling on the wall with crayons. We read our first books on a parent's lap. In those moments of early literacy, we benefited from a parent or teacher encouraging us to try more and more on our own. We know that reading and writing are about much more than sounding out words and spelling correctly. The human need to understand and be understood drives everything we do and is at the core of strong literacy instruction. Great teachers know that children learn best from observing teachers who show them, not tell them, what it looks like to live a literate life. Gone are the worksheets and mindless drills. Today, teachers emphasize learning to think alongside learning the mechanical aspects of literacy. Becoming literate in the 21st century is complex, learning from and simulating the practices of those whose literate lives we admire. Literacy is learning to think.
In 2004, PEBC partnered with the Boettcher Foundation to launch the Colorado Boettcher Teacher Residency. We have a rigorous process to recruit, train, and support candidates committed to working long-term in high-need schools. Our residents work with students in both urban and rural settings, many of whom live in poverty, have English as a second language, and have high rates of mobility. It's an apprenticeship program that's modeled after a medical residency. Boettcher residents spend a full year in a high-needs classroom with a trained mentor before taking on their own classrooms. And the model works. Students of our residents outperform students of other teachers with similar experience levels. And just as important, 90% of our graduates remain working in schools and districts after 9 years, most in high-needs schools. That's compared to a national retention rate of only 50% after 5 years. But training doesn't end after preparation. Research tells us that the one-shot approach to professional development doesn't result in improvement for teachers or students. So PEBC uses the power of professional learning to transform teacher practice. This includes intensive job-embedded coaching for teachers, opportunities for them to learn with their peers, and support for principals in developing sustainable learning communities. Colorado has the right improvement strategies: higher standards, new assessments, systems to provide feedback and support to teachers. But these need to be implemented well to work. PEBC is proud to be in classrooms and schools every day, working with educators to implement these policies in ways that will transform teaching and dramatically improve outcomes for students.
What's H2?
The reason you want PEBC at your school, because it is the #1 fundamental support for change and improvement. Teachers light up when they work with PEBC staff developers. I attribute PEBC as the #1 critical partner in all of the success I've had with turning around schools over the last 11 years. They create a strong professional culture of learning for every staff member in the building, where teachers walk away saying, I want to do better, I want to improve my craft, I want to reflect on my practice. You can't get better than that. You need to have PEBC in every classroom in Denver Public Schools, in the state of Colorado, and nationally.